If there's one thing that you can pick up from this video is not to cheap out on some little ridiculous things that you might think are useless but are in fact life-saving, like those vent covers that are supposed to go right here. These covers are a few bucks worth of plastic from Amazon, designed to keep small objects out of the rear vents on the Tesla Model Y Juniper. At the moment, in this section of my vent, I have a foreign object which apparently a kid has accidentally or not put in there. And it sounds like a screw or something that just makes this horrible noise every time I make a turn or accelerate or decelerate. These covers would have prevented exactly that. I just bought them too late. And to actually clean out whatever it is, I have to drive 4.5 hours to the nearest Tesla service center, an appointment I haven't even booked yet because I'm putting it off. Which is in a strange way the perfect setup for this video, because what I'm about to show you is a deep dive into the small things people add to their Teslas, trying to make it feel like their own. Some of it is great, some of it not so much. So let's get into it. A few episodes back, in my dedicated Tesla Model Y episode, I called this thing the most accessorizable vehicle on the road, the iPhone of cars, and the reason is simple. Tesla shipped a platform, the platform sold by the millions, and an entire economy of brands grew up around it, making carbon fiber spoilers, magnetic phone mounts, all sorts of rubber accessories, and OBD modules that customize features Tesla itself doesn't officially expose. I've been collecting these for months, and to prep for this episode, I have over 35 different items installed in the car, sitting on my desk or scattered around the garage, and most of them are going to make an appearance today. By the way, if you end up enjoying this video, subscribe, because why not? So some of these stuff is genuinely brilliant, some of it is okay, and a meaningful portion is, stuff I regret I bought, which I'm saving for the second half of this episode. But first, the things that earned their spot. These spigen pedal covers take 2 minutes to install, change the entire feel of the cockpit, and make Tesla's perfectly fine but boring stock pedals look like they came from a car that costs twice as much. The bigger story up front is what's happening on the dash. For months, I ran their tempered glass screen protector, which is awesome because it's matte, easy fit applicator, basically invisible. The newer addition is Spigen's MagSafe air vent mount, which has a strong magnetic hold, no charging coil, no thickness, and doesn't have to live on the screen, which means I can park my phone anywhere on the dash. 2 clean pieces from Spigen, both quiet, both pulling their weight. Now, the center console area of this car is its own little economy, and Spigen has at this point basically built furniture around it. There is the armrest console organizer, and the first thing I'd actually recommend buying. Sunglasses, AirPods, keys, all in their slots and nothing rolling around when I take a corner. There's also a smaller hidden pocket variant for things that I don't want anyone in the back seat to see. There's a larger center console organizer too, with an additional large bottle holder that lives under the screen and turns what used to be an empty cavern into 2 deep lined compartments. Also, there's an under-screen storage organizer below the main screen as well, which is perfect for temp stuff, and under the seat storage boxes for kids stuff that has no business being in the trunk yet shouldn't live on the seats. I have most of these installed. They all fit perfectly. They don't squeak, and after months of daily use, there's no creaking, no loose seams. And the Spigen sunglasses visor clip is, by the way, one of those coffee-priced accessories I didn't know I was missing until I lived with one for a week. Now, I cannot drive the car without it, and I've even installed one for my wife as well. Now, the unsung stuff I'd argue every Tesla owner should have anyway, again addressed by Spigen, start with the jack lift pucks that live inside a hard shell I velcroed inside my trunk. Life-saving when I'm in a pinch or stuck at a tire shop that doesn't carry them. The rear screen protector for the back seat display is more about the kids than performers or, fighting with glare, and gives me peace of mind when they're hopping in the back, tossing toys around. The trunk seal guard does the same kind of work, taking every scrape and scuff so that everything underneath doesn't get damaged like the felt, which I notice every time I'm loading, bulky stuff into the bag. The Cryo Shade front windshield sunshade is the newest addition to my collection, and now that the summer is here, and on a 40-degree day, it should keep the car cabin meaningfully cooler. I still need to find a sunshade for the glass roof though, so if you have a recommendation, drop it in the comments. I've been a Spigen fan for a long time, and I had no idea they had this deep of a catalog of Tesla-specific accessories until I got my car. They go as far as valve stem caps and a front trunk emblem replacement for those who missed the original. Speaking of the kids, the one accessory I reach for daily is the Rapigala portable vacuum, which I picked up for around 50 bucks and which has paid itself maybe 50 times over because with 3 kids in the car, I'm vacuuming daily. And a fast charging cordless vacuum leaving the trunk is one small upgrade I genuinely could not give up at this point. Okay, now from accessories that make the car nicer to accessories that change what the car can actually do. And this is where Enhance come in. Enhance makes the most invisible yet most powerful Tesla aftermarket ecosystem out there, and it starts with a small black dongle called the Commander that plugs into the OBD2 port on the passenger footwell and disappears underneath. From that moment on, I have access to a layer of customization Tesla itself doesn't provide. The headline feature, at least for me, and the reason I really wanted one, is the ability to shut up the speed assist bong. The one every time the car decides to boast when I'm a few miles over the limit. With the Commander, I can set a threshold, set an offset, or just turn the whole thing off. And believe it or not, that feature alone is worth the price of admission. But the Commander is also the brain of the Sexy ecosystem, talking wirelessly to a lot of accessories at once. The Sexy buttons are small physical buttons I've stuck around the cabin and mapped to any of dozens, if not hundreds, of functions. The Sexy knob handles volume and fan speed, but it can also be customized like crazy. Their LED strip lights the cabin in basically any color I want and acts like a warning sign or a kit welcome light. I have one button mapped to open the glove box, or I can simply hold the driver's door handle to pop the trunk. These little guys can be mapped to anything. Hazard lights, pedestrian warning, presets, and anything I normally have to dig through 3 menus to find. And on top of all that, the Commander surfaces real-time data Tesla shows me almost none of. Pack temperature, battery degradation from BMS, motor temperatures, and maybe the most useful thing of all is that I can preheat the battery for fast charging when I'm pulling into third-party chargers. Out of every accessories I've installed, the Commander and the Sexy buttons are the 2 I'd call non-negotiable. Speaking of features that come with this car, Sentry mode is a big deal and it's awesome. But every time it's running, it's quietly pulling miles off the long-term range because it has to keep the entire car awake to do its job. This here is the 70-mAh 4K A110 Lite, and it's been the perfect complement to Sentry. Think of it as Sentry mode in fact, but for every car and on steroids. It's a 4K 4G compact dashcam, and the headline for me is the video quality. 4K up front, 1080p rear, where the footage is much sharper than what Tesla's built-in cameras pull. License plates read clean at distance, and night driving with the f1.55 aperture is clear instead of muddy. The bigger upgrade though is the 4G connectivity. When the car is parked, I can get instant alerts on my phone for any bump or motion, and I can pull up a live view of what's happening around the car from anywhere. Pair that with the optional 70-mAh dashcam battery pack, and the camera runs entirely off its own power when parked, up to 30 hours of surveillance and zero drain on the car. I'll link the 70-mAh products in the first link in the description below. Okay, now the looks. There's an entire economy of exterior accessories for this car, and most of it ranges from questionable to bad, but a few pieces really nail it. My philosophy on the exterior mods is that I want the car to look like it came from the factory exactly the way it is, stock, but somehow different, where people can't quite point at any one thing and say, that's what's different. But the whole thing reads as a little more finished. The ThisIsE carbon fiber spoiler nails that, for example. Real carbon, and the design is essentially a copy of the OEM spoiler that ships on the Model Y Long. No drilling, just patience, and the result reads as completely factory. The ThisIsE carbon mirror caps are also real carbon, snap over the stock housings in about a minute, and together with the spoiler, they are some of my favorite exterior changes. I also have a ThisIsE carbon dash cover across the front of the interior dash. Real carbon again looks great, but the adhesive isn't good enough, and the middle bows up after a few weeks of summer heat. Also, one thing I'd flag here is the glossy version, which is a mistake. At sunset, glossy carbon throws reflections straight back at me, so matte is the one I'd buy if I had to do it all over. ThisIsE's hidden mud flaps tucked behind the wheel arches where I can barely see them, and that's the entire point. And then there's the lighting. The Tesla illuminated floodlights under the doors and the Tesla illuminated door plates inside the sill both genuinely elevate the car at night. But the door plates come with a warning. Removing the OEM ones is a workout. The install is permanent enough that when the batteries die, and they will die, I'll be back fighting them off again. And the magnet that's supposed to trigger them when the door opens didn't quite match the template that came in the box, so I ended up eyeballing it, and that took more time, of course. They work, they look great, but the whole job took me the better part of an afternoon. I was a bit reluctant showcasing these pillows, which are matched to the interior of the car, but they actually help me, especially on longer journeys, because I do have some back pains every once in a while. And the great part is I can take them off easy, and actually my kids are taking advantage of them when having a longer journey as well. They're quite soft, and I'm actually glad that I bought them. Now, a couple of items live in a middle ground I'm still figuring out. The OEM Tesla rubber floor mats fit perfectly, but underneath, they have these molded plastic spikes that grip the carpet. And the first time I watched someone at a detail shop yank these mats out of my car, I had a small panic. Those spikes can damage and scratch the leather seats, which means every time I get the car washed, I have to either be there or trust the shop completely. And I don't love that. I'm looking for alternatives. I'm not sure about most people, but I use the Frunk a lot. And having to deal with constant physical pressure to close every single time without bending the actual panel is kind of cringy. So I bought this soft closing mechanism. I think it's from ThisIsE again, which I want to install now. And I have to be honest, this is one of the accessories that I feel very uncomfortable attempting myself because it involves disassembling the entire guts of the Frunk, but I hope it works. While disassembling the Frunk, there was one accessory I forgot to mention earlier, and that is the LED strip around the Frunk, which is an original Tesla accessory. Now, I have to be honest, it works, it's great, but probably I wouldn't buy it again because the light that's inside here is perfectly fine for the purpose of illuminating the Frunk, and also because the Tesla LED itself is kind of not measured ideally. So it's a little bit too long. I can't really tuck it correctly and I have to overlap it this way, so it kind of looks off in my opinion, but I guess it works. The moment of truth. Before everything is assembled again, I need to make sure that it works. Hey, look at this, it works. Let me see. Let's see again. I mean, it does sound like a dying cat over there, but otherwise, I think we're all good. Once the panels are inside, they should line up just fine. Nice. And it's ready. It took about an hour and a half, but I think it's very much worth it. Since this car has so much carpet everywhere, like I mentioned in my review, one of the first things I wanted to get was protection for hauling all sorts of stuff like IKEA furniture. So I ended up going with those rubber mats that also cover the rear of the seats, which is nice because when you lower the seats, you still have protection over here, and it's quite nice. So if anything spills or if there's dust from some construction materials, I'm totally fine, as I can just remove this, vacuum it, or even wash it. Okay, here's the part I promised at the very beginning. The accessories I regret. The accessory body kit elements, specifically so-called eyebrows on the front bumper, are sold as carbon but are in fact plastic with a thin carbon film on top. And while in the photos they look fantastic, on the car they made the front end look weirdly cheap. The S-Lock rear seat tablet holders for the passenger headrests are also a no. Two kids, normal use. One of them broke way too fast. And then there's the Test Studio swivel screen, probably the most painful regret at this point, because the idea is really good. A mount that rotates the main display for the perfect viewing angle every time, and I really wanted to love it. But it sits the screen way too low to the point where the bottom right corner ended up sticking into the passenger leg space, which a larger friend of mine kept hitting his knee on while driving, and that was the exact moment I pulled it out. And finally, those plastic rear vent covers from the beginning of the video, which would have prevented this entire 3-week rattling saga if I bought them 4 weeks earlier, just didn't. You see, what I've learned after spending not a small amount in accessories is that the stuff that actually works tends to come from a small group of brands that took this platform seriously, and the rest is a tax I paid so you don't have to. Spigen makes the inside of the car feel more refined and intentional, and Hans Auto on the other side makes it do things Tesla forgot to let me do. Now, if you enjoyed this one, my full Tesla Model Y journey per episode goes deeper into why I sold every other car in my garage to keep this one, and I'll link it right here. Like and subscribe to the channel as well as my newsletter, and as always, it's been an absolute pleasure. This is Z, over and out.